Hi, I'm Kate with Kate's Paper Creations. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Washington State, and I welcome you to my weekly Casing the Catalog video. And today I am going to be casing the new Spring Mini Catalog. Get the front of the cover up here for you. The Spring Mini Catalog. And I am going to be using the Enjoy the Moment stamp set and imitating these three cards today. So let's get started. We'll see if I can keep everything straight today. I've got a lot to do here with three different cards. So we'll start with, get my stuff up here. We are going to, gotta move things around a little bit here. Got too much on my table. Sometimes my craft table gets a little messy. Okay, first one we're going to start with is this one. Okay, and it starts with a standard Whisper White, thick or basic white, whichever you want to call it, because you know we're phasing out of the Whisper White into basic white. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and it will make a top fold A2 greeting card. The next layer is Mint Macaroon, or Ron, however you want to say it, and it is 4 by 5 1/4, and it's going to go on the front of the card like this, but not yet, because we're going to build it first. The next layer is from In Good Taste, and it is a kind of a light wood grain color, and it is, find my measurements, 3 by 4 1/4, or no, 4 1/2, 3 by 4 1/2, and it is going to get attached flat to the front of this mint macaron piece. And it's just going to be centered, just like that. Okay, then I am going to take this piece, which is the Mossy Meadow braided trim. I had to think for a second. And we're going to wrap it around the back side of this. And I'm going to just go ahead. I'm going to be attaching it to the front of the card basically flat. So I'm going to go ahead and run my adhesive all the way around. And then I'm going to take this, which I believe I cut to 6 inches long or 7 inches long. So I've got enough to wrap around the back side, and I don't want to center it. I'm going to come up from the bottom of this In Good Taste piece about 1 inch, and I'm going to wrap that around and get a hold of it here, pull it nice and tight and wrap it around just like that. And then I'm going to attach this to the front of the card as well. And when I attach things, I use the fold towards me. And then I line up, this has got 1/8 of an inch border. So if I line up the back side or the top or the bottom or however you want to look at it, the long side and the two short sides, left and right, at the 5/8 inch line and lay it down, then it pretty much goes on fairly straight. I'm never perfect, but that's okay. Now we are going to take a 3.5 by 3.5 square piece of Whisper White, and we're going to stamp it. And we're going to be using Garden Green and Crumb Cake. We're going to start with Crumb Cake, and we're going to be using, find my stamps. I got them all laid out here. Yeah, I believe this is the one. We're going to be using this stamp from the stamp set. Hopefully that doesn't get too much of a glare on it. And that's the stamp set we're going to be using. And I didn't stamp off. I kept it full strength and just stamped around. It's random. You can't do it wrong. Let's do this one like this. It's going to look a little bit different than the original just because. And it's always good to stamp off a little bit. And let's put one right in the middle. About like so. There we go. And then we're going to stamp some of this little, these remind me of the things that fly off of the maple trees in the fall. Helicopters, we used to call them. And it's garden green. And I did stamp off the garden green, so it wasn't quite so dark. I just liked it better, less dark. See if we can't fit one. I probably got a little too many. Trying to fit them all in here. And we need something up here, so let's do one up this way. There we go. That's good enough. Okay, then once it's stamped, close these up or I will get ink where I don't want it. I do it all the time. I am going to cut it into 3 pieces. The first piece is 1 inch wide, like this, and I want to keep them in order. And the one to the far left is also 1 inch wide, so I'm going to move it over this way and cut it 1 inch. And that will leave the centerpiece being wider, and it will end up being 1.5 inches. Okay. Get this out of the way. So that's the 3 pieces, and you want to keep them in order because then the picture flows. Okay, we're going to attach these with dimensionals, so let's turn them over and find my dimensionals. And I just put 1 on the top and bottom of these thin ones, and 2 on the top and bottom of the middle one. It's a terrible dark gray day outside already, so I hope my lighting is not too awfully full of shadows. It works much better when the sun is shining in my craft window, but okay. Now, first one I put on was the center one. I'm going to make sure I still got them lined up correctly. I do. Okay. So, I'm going to center it over this piece, over the In Good Taste piece, and I'm going to just try my best to center it from left to right. And I'm just going to lay it down very lightly so those dimensionals don't stick too much, so that I can get a feel for where it's going to land, and I can move it if I need to. I'm thinking just reminds me of when you see those little cartoons about the wife telling the husband to move the refrigerator or something really big and heavy. Oh, just a little bit more that way. Oh, just a little bit more this way. Anyway, just reminded me of it. Okay, and then this one, I'm just going to center it over this width, like this, so that the gap at the edge and the gap between is fairly even, like that. And then I'm going to do the same on the other end. Oh, you can tell I got way off, didn't I? Okay, let's see if we can't fix that. You know, like I say, you get to watch me fix my faux pas. So let's pick this center one up and see if we can't move it over. I can hear it coming apart. Where's my pokey tool? It's not going to matter because it's going to get covered back up, but you don't want to be too awfully destructive. I love it when you get to watch me fix my mistakes, don't you? I hope so. Because this is what you get to watch. Once those, once these dimensionals are stuck, boy, they stick good. So we'll be able to fix that. The idea is I should have dry fit, and I do that. Typically I do that, but I didn't do it this time. So, you know, you pay the price for getting in a hurry, I guess. So we'll peel those off, put some fresh ones on, and we'll fix it. And I could have started thinking through what I could have done differently. I could have started by putting those on and then just centering this, and then I would have been, that would have been much better. So follow what I say, not what I do, and you'll be okay. So now I am going to just center this between these two. Just like that. And there we go. It is fixed. Oh, okay. Then the last thing I did was cut out the stitched square from stitched rectangle framelits. And it's just the one that sits all by itself in the set right here. This one right here is the one I use. Stitched rectangle stitched framelits. And I am going to stamp the sentiment with terracotta tile and find the sentiment. Friendship is found in simple things. And we will just stamp that right in the center of that with the terracotta. There it is. And I'm going to attach this flat to this center, so I'm just going to put snail on the back of it. Now, this may not be exactly like the one in the catalog. Okay, but it's close. It has a bow on it in the catalog. I'm not a big fan of bows, so it doesn't have a bow. I think the background was from a different type of DSP, and I just picked one that was the closest I could find. And there's card number 1. Okay, card number 2 is right here. Here we go. Card number 2, find my cheat sheet so I don't forget to say anything. Starts with gray granite for the background. The base card is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and it's gray granite. And so that's going to create the base card. Let me put that up there so you can see it. The next layer is 4 by 5 1/4, and it is also gray granite. And I'm going to bring in that scratch paper again because we're going to stamp this with gray granite. So it's going to be tone on tone as soon as I find the tone in my pile of colors. There it is. Gray granite. And I'm going to stamp this one that is like this. And there's 2 of them. There's this one and there's this one. So I'm going to stamp some of each. And some of them will get stamped off the edge, which is why I have backing here. And I did not stamp off. I did full strength. So I did that. And let's do one down here. And then we'll do some of this one. Let's see. And again, this is going to look different every time you make it because you're not going to make it the same way twice. I could never remember which way I stamped something. So that's kind of the way that goes. And then there's another one in there that's just these little pods. And so we're going to add some of those around like this. And I just turn it a little bit each time I use it. That makes it look a little bit different every time. Gives it a little variety on the stamping. And we're going to bring some down into here as well, because we're going to put a piece over this, but we don't want it to be too blank. As a matter of fact, I might even bring this one back in and have one go up this way and one come down this way, just like that. Okay, the next layer is the basic gray, and it is cut out with a die from the, get my name here, Tasteful Labels dies. And so it's going to go on the front here with dimensionals. But this piece is going to go on the card front flat. So let's put that on like this. And we're leaving that 1/8 inch border all the way around. There we go. And then this is going to go on with dimensionals. Like that. And I'm going to put one in the middle to kind of help hold it. And it just is rather centered. But if you don't get it perfect, it's not going to matter. Okay, there's that. The next piece is cut from the In Good Taste Designer Series paper, and it also uses a die from the Tasteful Labels dies. And I don't have that available to show you. I'm not sure where I put it. Oh, here it is. There we go. So I've used this one, which is this one right here in the set. It's got the little corners that are cut off. And the first one I used was this one right here. That's for the gray piece. This is going to go on here, and it's just going to go on flat, and it sticks out past the edge just a little bit. So if you wanted to, you could put a couple of mini dimensionals down this one side just to support it. And then you can just put regular adhesive on the other part. And that will hold up that edge when you put this on. And it's also just centered from top to bottom on this piece. And again, it's not something that's like rocket science. You can get it close and it will be okay. And that supports those edges. Okay, the next thing is this piece here, and I cut this from the same Tasteful Labels set, and that is this one right here. And we're going to stamp the Happy Birthday from the stamps from the set with Mary Merlot. There we go. Get that out of the way. Put some things away as I go. Now this goes on the back. This is the In Color 1/4 inch ribbon, and this is cinnamon cider. And to attach that, I attached it to the back of the sentiment piece, and I just did it by putting a strip of adhesive on the back, and then I figured out where I wanted that first little flap to start, and I stuck it to it. And then I added another strip of adhesive, just a little tiny bit, and did my corner and stuck it down to that, and then another little bit. This is all just to hold it in place, so you don't have to fight with it as you're going. And I put the last one on, and there's our piece that we're going to attach to the front of the card. And this gets attached with dimensionals. And I put them on, 4 of them on. one on either of the corners. And it's okay if it touches the ribbon because it's going to get covered up. And bring this card back down and put that on there like that. And there is card number 2 from the Enjoy the Moment stamp set. And all of these are on page 59 of your catalog, so you can check it out there. Okay, that one's out of the way. Here is the last one right here. And again, we started with a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of Whisper White or Basic White Thick. Scored at 4 1/4. It's going to make a side fold card. The next layer is from the In Good Taste Designer Series paper, and it is cut the full size of the front. So it is 4 1/4 by 5.5. And it's going to cover the whole front of the card. No gaps on this one. Don't have to have a gap every time, do we? There we go. There's the front. Okay, the next piece, I was going to show you these pieces that we are going to attach. I stamped and colored and then hand cut them out. There's not any dies for those, but they were easy to cut out. So I'm going to show you what I did because I'm using the new blending brushes that are in the mini catalog that just started in January. And so I think it will have already started, but if not, it's in the mini catalog, new blending brushes. This is what they look like. Very nice. Now I've already had blending brushes and used them in the past, but now Stampin' Up! Has their own, and they are very nice and very well made. Beautiful, beautiful things. So I stamped each of these. So let's get those pieces up here. I stamped this one, and I'm going to do it just so you can see. I colored them with the blending brush when I got done. So let me show you. This one I didn't color. This one I just stamped and cut out. It didn't need to be colored. I didn't do that. But this one I stamped with mint macaron. And we'll turn it so we've got room for it here. And we'll just put it on however we have to. Here we go. I stamped it with mint macaron like that. Then I came back with the blending brush and I added some color. Where's my scrap paper? And I'm going to be cutting it out so I don't have to worry about staying in the lines. And I just kind of wanted to fill in the background of this with some color. Like that. And then if you'll notice in the catalog, in the picture, there was some blue around the edges of these. So I have to confess, here's my outside of Stampin' Up! Blending brush. And is skinny. So it makes it pretty easy for getting in here and just doing a little bit of blue up the sides of these images. Just made it a little bit easier to do. And that's all I did for that one. And then the last one was the pods that are this one. And they were stamped with cinnamon cider. And so I took cinnamon cider and I stamped it. And then again, I took my blending brushes and I made sure it was clean and didn't have the mint macaron on it. And I just did the whole thing and got it a little bit darker towards the stem end and left it get a little bit lighter towards the other end. And that's how I colored those. And then I just hand cut them out. I've already prepared those, so you don't have to watch me do that part. So let's put that aside. And here are the pieces already cut out. Okay, next, this is a piece of the shimmery white cardstock, and it is going to get embossed with the Scripty embossing folder. But before I emboss it, I'm going to bring back that blending brush and crumb cake ink, and I'm going to add some color around the edges. There's no rhyme or reason here, just a matter of taste, how much you want, but I don't want the whole thing to be dark. So there's that. Then I took my water spritzer, I have a little spritzer bottle with some water in it, and I actually sprayed that, took it off to the side and sprayed it with some water and brought it back and ran my finger over it, and it just kind of, I don't know, I felt like it gave it a little more character. It's just me, maybe. Okay. Then I took the embossing folder, the Scripty embossing folder, and I embossed it. Now this is a 3D embossing folder, and I want the script to be right, go the right direction, so I'll make sure I'm doing that. And because it's a 3D, you only need the base plate, the folder with your cardstock in it, and plate number 4, and that will emboss it. Off screen. I'm coming back. And there's that. And then I wanted it to be a little bit more aged looking, so I brought my scissors in and I just scraped the edges just lightly and roughed them up a little bit. I used to have a special tool that did this. I don't know where it's at, but scissors work just great. So we're just roughing up the edges. There's no perfection here. It's just, and it's really cool because behind that little bit of ink and the text that was embossed, you can see that lovely shimmer that's in that paper. You can't probably see it on camera, but you can see it here. Then I took a sponge and some more crumb cake and added even just a little bit more. And I didn't do it all the way around. I just did it on a couple of the corners just to give it a little bit more color on a couple of the corners. And that's totally your choice again. Okay. And it's okay if it's wrinkled because I want it to look that way. Okay, now we're going to attach this to the front of the card, and I am going to do it with dimensionals as well. And I'm not going to put them right out at the corner because I want those corners to curl just a little bit. I don't want to fasten them down tight. That's part of that kind of aging look that I want. So that's why I'm not putting the dimensionals right in the corner. And it actually doesn't even hurt my feelings a little if I take and just accidentally just gave those corners just a little bit of tweaking. You know, just doesn't matter. Okay, this piece is 3 by 5.5. It's going to reach all the way from top to bottom and center from left to right. So it is 3 by 5.5 of the shimmer white. And there's that piece. Next is the sentiment piece, and this die I used Hippo and Friends dies. Now I didn't buy the stamp set, I just bought the dies because they've got all these wonderful borders in there, and so that's where I got it. It's from Hippo and Friends. And I'm going to stamp the sentiment Enjoy the Moment with soft suede. And I'm going to keep it a little bit to the right-hand edge of the piece, like that. Oh, I used a different one. This one's called Friendship is Found in Simple Things, and that's okay. We're going to stick with that. I grabbed the wrong stamp, but that's okay. So here we go. And then I'm going to attach this flat to this piece. And you don't want to put any out here where it's not going to stick. So just make sure you don't go too far to the edge with your adhesive. but I do want it to stick out past that edge just a little bit. And that looks good enough for me. And now we're going to attach these pieces. So this one, we're going to need dimensionals on the back of the flower pod parts, because they're going to stick up past. I want it to stand out. And I'm going to put a little bit on the stem as well. It's going to come out this way. So there we go. Then this one just needs a little bit of adhesive here, because I'm going to put it down flat, and it's just going to go kind of in here. And then these will all get dimensionals on the back, and they just need one. This sheet of dimensionals has been cut all the way through, makes it kind of tricky to get them off. And again, it's just a matter of where you want to put them. It's not going to look exactly the same as the first card I made, because every time there's just a little variation. I'm going to overlap those like this, and I'm going to put the other one up here. And there is the last card. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, my Casing the Catalog video, where I featured the Enjoy the Moment stamp set. And there they are. Thanks for stopping by. I will put a link to my online store in the description below, and I also have a blog, and the link for that will be there as well. If you haven't subscribed to my video channel, I hope that you will, so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Thanks for stopping by.